If you were given £100,000, dollars, euros or equivalent, what would you do with it? Because most people would understandably use it to buy a new car, a nice holiday, new clothes, TV, laptop, new kitchen, etc. And all of that stuff, in my opinion, is important because you do only live once and you should lead as happy a life as possible, given that most people work very hard. However, this video is on adopting the mindset of a millionaire and not just following what everyone else does. So we're looking at what we should do if we want to grow our wealth in a large way over time. And the money isn't normally given to you or won, but it's earned through hard work and it's saved up over time where possible. So please do like this video and subscribe to the channel so I can continue to offer more content for you in future. And let's jump straight in. Firstly, I'd like to look at the difference between assets and liabilities, because items like cars, clothes, appliances like TVs, fridge freezers, etc. all depreciate in price. So you'll need to spend more money on them to improve or replace them in future. So liabilities essentially cost you money. They lose their price over time and they don't make you any money usually. And these are what most people actually spend their money on to get the best versions possible. For example, the nicest car, the largest TV, or the latest phone that they can buy. On the other hand, assets are things that make you money in the long term rather than cost you money. And this isn't financial advice, and I'm certainly not telling anyone what to do with their money. But if you've worked hard for years and managed to save up a decent amount, or if you've any left over at the end of the month, the question is, what do you then do with it? Spend it on liabilities, like I mentioned before, or use it to invest in assets and educate yourselves financially, with the aim of growing your wealth in the long term, possibly even achieving generational wealth. So you're essentially sacrificing things in the short term to gain in the future. And as you can see here, many successful people have talked about this difference between investing in assets and liabilities for a long time now. And let's look at an example. What would have happened if you'd invested that 100,000 that we mentioned at the beginning of the video in the S&P 500 or Bitcoin for the last 10 or 20 years? Suppose you'd put $100,000 into the S&P 500 and continued to reinvest the dividend income in that index all the way back in the first quarter of 1987. Well, you'd have ended up with $772,000 by the first quarter of 2007, 20 years later. Or if you look a bit more recently, if you'd invested $100,000 in the S&P 500 at the beginning of 2001 and reinvested all the dividends, that would be worth about $447,923 at the end of 2022. And you can see the returns during that time frame on this graph, in which you can obviously see the dip during the 2008 financial crisis, and then again fairly obviously in 2019 and 2020. And a lot of people don't have that lump sum to invest in one go, so they actually dollar cost average in over time, which is obviously fine. But for this video, it's easier to look at the lump sum investment examples over a period of 20 years or so. And what would have happened if you'd invested the same amount of money into Bitcoin? Well, $100,000 invested in BTC 10 years ago, not 20 years ago as we were looking at for the S&P 500. So in November 2013, it would be worth now over $2.53 million in November 2023 at the time of recording this video. And I'm not telling anyone to invest in these things. I'm just using them as examples when we look back in history and we compare investing in assets and liabilities. Because on the flip side of investing in just these two examples, you could also use that $100,000 to buy just one car. And that amount wouldn't even buy you something like a Lamborghini, an Aston Martin, or a Bentley, for example. So what I like to think about when making financial decisions is what will lead to long-term and potentially generational wealth, and which are liabilities that will depreciate in value over time. Do I need to sacrifice some things now in order to be able to invest and build wealth in the long term? Don't jump into investments following the hype, but educate yourself fully and gain the knowledge that you need to make informed decisions. And as you can see here, even Benjamin Franklin was talking about the importance of investing in yourself and educating yourself before you make investment decisions. And if you're interested in more of a tailored approach to your crypto education, and you think you'd benefit from having someone look over your shoulder and guide you on your journey, I do offer one-to-one coaching to those who have the desire and the means to educate themselves. And there are links in the description where you can message me and book in a free video call to see if we'd be a fit. And as always, I'd love to know what you think in the comments below. And if you found this content interesting, please do like the video and subscribe to the channel, as it really does help. And have a great day.